Hi, my name is Aya, you're watching Aya Reads, and I'm here to introduce my reading vlog of reading Mate by Ali Hazelwood. So by the time of filming this intro, I already finished it. And this is gonna be like all my reading vlogs, mostly non-spoiler, veering towards mid spoilers, because if it's completely non-spoiler, then it would be like a 2-minute video. I never spoil like big plot points that happen after like the 25% mark, but like to really introduce you and give my thoughts, I need to spoil a bit. Before watching this reading vlog, however, I do have to say this, yes, you can technically read without reading Bride, but it does spoil some big plot points in Bride. And me talking about this book in this review means I also have to spoil those things, because otherwise I cannot talk about this book, because it is vital to especially the FMC that I talk about these things. But like I said, it will spoil Bride. Like really briefly, if you want to know whether it's worth it and you still want to read Bride, I would say definitely it is. I do recommend it. If you want to know my actual star rating, check out my Goodreads. I will give my star rating there. If not, if you either don't care about spoilers of Bride, or if you already read Bride, then definitely stick around for this reading vlog, because I did enjoy talking about this book on this reading vlog. So without further ado, let's cue to the vlog. So I'm on page 152 of Mate. And before I get started, I have to tell you, okay, so this book is the second book in her Bride series, I think. Yeah, and the first book is of course Bride, which that book was a vampire werewolf romance, which I did review, and I'll leave that video linked for you. This is the second book, and when I tell you I have been waiting and ready for this book ever since I finished the first one. In this book, you follow Serena and Cohen, and they have been set up in the first book. Serena is a werewolf-human hybrid, and Cohen is a alpha of the Northwest territory, of like the Northwest pack. And obviously we've seen both of them in the first book. Serena is Misery's foster sister, and Cohen kind of raised low for a bit there. And you start the book off with Serena getting chased by a vampire who wants to abduct her because she is one of the few human werewolves out there. And the vampires think that, you know, if that secret has already been out, but some vampires want to use her to prevent a stronger werewolf-human alliance, because of course if they can mate together, then they can fall in love and like solidify that species intermingling, I guess. And Cohen saves her, and then in the first couple of chapters, we go back and forth between present day and then 4 months before and then 2.5 months before to find out why she is where she is. And we actually find out that very early on in this book, Cohen actually reveals to her that they are mates. But he seems to be lying to her, saying, yeah, it's only a sexual thing and we're never gonna happen. I have really no interest in you. When throughout like everything I've read, it seems he is very much interested in her. Like, first of all, he finds her hot, which he doesn't deny, but he seems to, like, he wants her to believe that it's all physical when clearly it's not. Anytime she touches him, anytime he smells her, he gets so excited. She's hiding a secret in that she has this degenerative disease that is slowly killing her, and there's no cure for it. And the disease she has, she's 25. It's not supposed to, people as young as her usually don't have this disease, and she thinks, okay, so maybe it's because I'm half human that I have this disease, and like it's serious. She only has a couple months to live, and she's keeping that secret from everybody. And of course there's also another human werewolf hybrid out there who she wants to protect. So she belongs to the Southwest pack, I think, Lowe's pack, but she doesn't want to be there because she doesn't want to endanger that other hybrid. So she eventually asks Cohen if she can just stay at his place. And she always, like from the very beginning, she's always felt safe with him. His smell does funny things to her. And anytime he tells her something, she wants to do it. So where I'm at in this book, it's not that clear if it's the fact that he's her mate that she feels like that, or the fact that he's an alpha and anybody would feel that way. Obviously, I already know it's because he's her mate. Also, I do think, and I'm not sure, but I do think her disease, I don't know. I just have a feeling it can be cured if she somehow mates with him. I'm not sure, because the doctor who like diagnosed her, he's a werewolf. So this disease does afflict older werewolves. So I don't know. That is a mystery. Obviously, it's a romance, so she's not actually gonna die, but that is hanging over their heads. So far, I am really enjoying every interaction between Cohen and Serena. And I do have to say, before getting into this book, I was not really in the mood for it. In fact, I was supposed to start it when it came out and I just didn't. I kept pushing it off. In fact, I was seriously considering not reading this now and just putting it on my TBR and seeing when I got around to it. But when I actually started it, from the very beginning, I just kept reading. So this, I'm not saying I was slumping because I really don't think so, but I just had a lot of other things going on, mainly planning a trip that I'm going to in March, but it's a very big one I've been wanting to go to for years, that I was a bit distracted. But this book is really, even though I am distracted, anytime I pick this book up, I just want to read as much as I can. I'm really loving I'm also loving Misery and Low in this book, but I'm really loving Serena and Cohen. And you know, Ali Hazelwood has been feeding me this werewolf romance, and I am just sat at the buffet table eating every crumb. I love the fact that she's writing werewolf romances. And I do have to say, like, I have not really been loving the latest two contemporary romances I've read by her, but this one I am loving. I'm eating up. It's a slow burn romance. It's also, where I'm at now, gonna be a roommates to lovers romance, because they're living at the same house, even though technically he's not sleeping there, he's sleeping outside in his werewolf form. Also, one thing I also forgot to mention is that she hasn't been able to shift in a while. So that is also something he's trying to help her with. But she's keeping a lot of secrets from him. So that's gonna come ahead, I'm pretty sure. But I'm really loving it. I'm loving both of them. I'm eating every interaction with them up. Their banter is top tier. Like, I just chuckle. I'm giggling and kicking my feet while reading this book. And I'm just a werewolf girly. Okay, that is just part of my personality. I love werewolf romances. I do. I love when they're sniffing and smelling each other. I love the alpha and the other pack members pull to the alpha. I just love that. I love the lore. I just do. And I really love how Ali Hazelwood is doing it in this book with the whole, there's 3 species, like the humans, the werewolves, the vampires, they all know all about each other. And there's like interactions between all 3 species that do mimic real life, and I'm just enjoying it. I'm loving it very much. Like, I think it's just amazing. Like, what can I say? So yeah, I'm gonna continue reading. I do think I'll just update you once I finish, but it's like very, very slow burn. Like, so far on page 150, there have been some interactions, but they're very, very brief. He's not interested in it going further, and she obviously knows that she's dying, so she's also not really trying to fall in love here. And I also really love, the same as in Bride, every chapter starts with a snippet of his POV that I also really love. Also, I'm listening to this on audiobook. It's a duet narrated, because this book is a single point of view story. Mostly we get Serena's point of view, except for those snippets that are Cohen's. But anytime Cohen or any other male speaks in this book, Teddy Hamilton, the male narrator in this book, does their voices, which of course I love. Like, what can I say? I love his voice. Like, he can just talk me to sleep every single night and I'd be a happy camper. Let me tell you who the female narrator is. Ellie Gossage, who I also am really enjoying her narration. So I'm just having the best time. The plan is to upload it tomorrow. And I'm not that far in, of course, only 150 pages, but I really don't have a whole lot going on than to read this book, honestly. So that is what I'm gonna do. So I guess I'll talk to you tomorrow once I finished it. Alrighty, I just finished Mate and I loved it. I'm giving it 5 stars. It was everything I wanted it to be and more. I really, 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 really love this book. In fact, I'm not sure because I've never reread Bride, but I think out of the two, this is my favorite, but it might just be recency bias. I just love in this book, like the amount of longing and wanting each other that happened throughout the majority of this book. Like, it takes them a long time to finally have sex, basically, which makes sense because it is definitely a forbidden romance. Like, this alpha is supposed to be celibate. That is the deal he made with the rest of the pack. Meaning, yes, like in the beginning, it's not that clear. Like, you think he just doesn't want her for some reason. But he cannot, like, they are not allowed to actually be together, even though they are mates. And it makes sense in this book why it's not. Like, she goes into, like, the background of it, what happens if an alpha does have a mate in their history. And, like, I feel like she set it up very good. And you as a reader, at least I as a reader, was convinced. I was like, yeah, sure. He cannot have a mate and a pack. Like, I was convinced. But of course, I wanted them to be together. And I really love them together. As I said in my first update, I really love their banter that continued on throughout the rest of this book. I love the relationship she starts building with his seconds, which is actually one of the first things you read from his point of view. Yeah, in chapter 5, it starts with his seconds like her. They have from the very start traitors, which of course I do like that. I always like, one of my favorite things about werewolf romances is the pack. I think they are pivotal and they have to be done well. And if they do, like, if an author manages to do both the romance and the pack right, and the pack dynamics, then I usually really tend to love it. I also love the interactions we saw with Serena and Misery. She does go into, there's like some big plot points related to Serena that I also really enjoyed. I just had a blast. I ate this shit up. Like, I'm not lying. All I wanted to do, like, at one point, all I wanted to do was read this book. Whenever I said, okay, you have 15 minutes to read it, I always went back for more. This is also, and I said that about Bride, I'm pretty sure, but this is definitely her hottest book yet. Like, when they finally do have sex, it is, like, this is core memory stuff. Like, I'm sure I'll find myself a year later randomly just thinking about, like, some scenes I read in this book. It is so good. And I also like how in this book, since they're both werewolves, how we get more into the werewolf lore and what she explains a bit more about werewolves and why they do the things they do. And yes, we got into that a bit in Bride because Lo had to explain those things to Misery, but the fact that Cohen here explains them to Serena and she actually gets to experience it from her point of view, I definitely enjoyed. One thing here that did bother me a bit is a bit of a spoiler, and I don't know if it bothers me too much. I just wish she didn't put it in, but I mean, whatever. This does have an age gap. He's 11 years older, and yeah, there is a plot point in here that shows it clearly, the age gap, which I'll talk a bit more in the spoiler section, but I loved it. I would highly recommend it. If you read Bride, and you're wondering whether or not you should read it, I would say definitely do, because I fell in love with this book. Let me think if I have any other thoughts. I'm not sure if there's gonna be a third book. I remember after reading Bride, I really wanted Owen's book, The Vampire, Misery's brother. She didn't tease that book at all in this book. Although I do remember she did in the first book, so maybe we'll get that. I hope so. Although I am just always going to be partial to werewolf romances. So I really want to, I'm not, like, I don't know if I don't really have the time to read it this year because my reading schedule is already so packed with everything that is coming in the last couple of months of the year. But I really want to read a werewolf romance a bit similar to this. So if you have some recommendations for me, definitely let me know. And I think those are all my thoughts. Yes. So now going into the spoiler section. Okay, so one thing that did bother me a bit is that first scene we get, like, of the prologue basically, of Serena getting rescued by this man who picks her up and gives her to the social worker. That obviously turns out to be Cohen, which I didn't realize until, like, very close to the reveal. And I wouldn't say it gives me the ick, because it really doesn't, because it's not like, first of all, how were they supposed to know that that was the same person? Plus, they interacted for less than 5 minutes, and she obviously doesn't remember it. He obviously doesn't connect the dots. It's not like, oh, they knew each other for a while when she was 5 and he was 15. But just thinking about that, thinking about the fact that, like, at that point, like, they had some sexual interactions, obviously, like, not full on sex, but very close to it. And then thinking about the fact that he actually held her as a young child, that just bothered me a bit. And the fact is, it wasn't necessary. Like, they could have just sold her. He was there killing whoever, and somebody else picked her up. But like I said, I don't want to make it a thing, because it shouldn't be, since, like, it would have been different had he, like, smelled her and knew, oh yeah, that was the girl I rescued, like, 11 years ago. And then we go on to, like, them being romantic together, because at the end of the day, their age gap really doesn't matter in the present, because she's 25 and he's 36. That is completely fine. Like, there's no blurred lines there. And like I said, they didn't know each other when she was growing up. That would have also been icky. So yeah, this one interaction when she was little, it shouldn't matter, and it doesn't matter. And I don't know why it bothered me when I read it. It just did, and I really wanted to talk it through, so here I am. At the end of the day, I don't care. Like, a part of me wishes it wouldn't have been in there, because like I said, it doesn't provide anything extra. Like, they could have still had the same plot line of him being there, him killing her mom, him killing her dad, and he would have been the alpha. So the fact that she got rescued and taken to a social worker, that's still, like, he explains that is still his decision whether or not he actually was the one who dealt the killing blow. So that could have still been a thing. Like, we didn't need him to actually pick her up from the closet to have the same effect. But anyway, I'm rambling now. Yeah, those are all my thoughts about Mate by Ali Hazelwood. Definitely let me know. I mean, I'm assuming if you're here, you have read it. So if you've read it, let me know all your thoughts in the comments below. Did you prefer this one, or did you prefer Bride? I would really love to know that. And if you want to leave me a comment but don't actually have anything to say, leave me a full moon emoji. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Definitely let me know by leaving a like if you did. And thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.